bike belongs to the fine gentleman who gave me an after-hours tour of Halface Blades' new shop. Located in San Diego, California, this new facility encompasses a much expanded production floor as well as a beautiful showroom. Clearly, they're investing into expansion of the brand without sparing any expenses or cutting corners.
The founder of this brand, Andrew Arabito, is a former Navy SEAL. I would like to see and share with you how his combat experience translated into blade geometry and ergonomics. No spoilers on the data yet, but here's an opportunity to see how they heat treat different steels. The first knife I bought from them was this Disaster Junior made with CPM 3V. This one has been in my pocket for weeks now, hence the scuff marks, Kydex rash, and a couple of field sharpenings. This is Black Crow, and I walked onto it in a store called Queen Knives and Backcountry Goods located in Julian, California, an hour from San Diego. Let me tell you, finding a half-face knife on the shelf of a store, any of these knives, is an inch short of miracle.
If the whole time I was talking about the other knives, you were staring at this custom mid-sized blade on top, I don't blame you. I'll talk about it in a minute.
That last one is called Extremis Mark 1.
I got it from Blade HQ live auction
on Whatnot app. They were running pre-owned items sale. I think somebody returned it without ever using it because it has Kydex rash on the finish. And whoever returned it saved me $100. And I'm gonna carry it anyway, so I don't care about the finish.
So let's talk about this Crow Scalper Custom.
Starting with the blade shape is clip point. It's a little bit obscured by this rocking finish. On the production knives, this rocking stops right here, and on the customs it continues all the way to the tip.
CPM 3V on this blade, Disaster Junior, is one of my favorite steels. It's a tool steel designed for extreme toughness, impact and wear resistance, plus it tempers at over 900 degrees Fahrenheit. And so you can coat it without taking the hardness punishment.
And MagnaCut, I am not sure what Dead Recon does with their MagnaCut. And no, I haven't misspoken. This knife is made by Dead Recon. So I feel like I doubled the points here.
Let's circle back to the Scalper Custom. And specifically, I would like to talk about the amount of labor and patience which went into making this beautiful, beautiful handle. The material selection is exotic.
There's a chunk of Hawaiian curly koa, then a couple layers of micarta across, then the liners and copper striping, and finally topped off by giraffe bone at the bolster. And this material is rare. It's currently under like 1,000 regulations, and acquiring it is a difficult task. It's becoming quickly the ivory of the 21st century. I'll give you the engineering perspective. This bone can withstand 3,000 pounds of compressive force, and God knows how much of a flexural strength it has. And then it's also vacuum impregnated with a stable resin, which makes it impregnable to any kind of environmental impact. It is a beautiful handle, but it's a nightmare from manufacturing perspective. Just imagine assembling the lineup of materials, putting them together and waiting for epoxy to cure for 12 to 24 hours. Hours of labor. Then you still have to shape them into plates, carefully and precisely drill the holes through them, then epoxy the pair to the tang of the blade, press the mosaic pins, let it cure for 12 to 24 hours, shape it into the final shape, and then polish it on a buffing wheel. If it was a Randall knife, it would set you back probably $3,500. And you wouldn't even know what steel it's made of because Randall just doesn't disclose, you know. Here's some comparisons to quality fixed blades. I'm going to start with Benchmade Hidden Canyon Hunter and Saddle Mount Skinner, LT Wright Bushcrafter, Rowan or SE4. On the tactical side, it's Tour Knives Serpent. And I also have this Spidey Ronin. Now this is a difficult segment to start because I'm going to talk about a couple things I don't like. I don't like their Kydex sheaths. They're pretty primitive.
Kind of homemade looking.
Taco style. The retention is too strong, and then you end up loosening it up by heating it up a little bit at the band. And then you need to add this retention here to the features on the handle. And I don't understand this. This is not something I would recommend doing. Grinding off right where your thumb could go to push the sheath off. And this one has a horrendous sheath retention. I mean, it's hard to even, hence the return from the previous owner, I think. And that's what I'm calling the Kydex rash. Even though the Kydex is lined with velvety fibers there, it still will do this. Now this came with a beautifully made leather sheath. I already have some handling, scuffing on it a little bit, but it's a handmade sheath. They could have riveted it instead of doing this star split kind of termination here. I really like this belt loop because you can run the belt this way for horizontal wear, this way for vertical wear, or diagonally for a cross draw from either direction. And this is sized to this knife. While I was there, I also scored a couple more leather sheaths because I want to accommodate those knives. So what I did is I picked up a sheath for the custom. That's what's going to go with it right there. Then this sheath will be accommodating the extremis, like so. And for the Disaster, I grabbed the sheath that was actually designed for 4-inch blades. But look at that. When I fit it in, I need to break it. I haven't broken them in yet. Again, this is going to be a really cool sitting in my pocket. And I already figured out how would I attach the pocket clip arrangement to it. To disassemble Disaster Junior, you need a 4mm hex bit. You may need 2 of these to disassemble because even there's no Loctite, this brass actually binds real nicely. So it's not going to unscrew, but you need 2 4mm bits. And the reason I want to do it is I don't like how bright this looks compared to the rest of the knife's aesthetic, so I'm using this aluminum black to darken it, antique it a little bit. Get in there. So now I'm gonna give it a little bit of a wear pattern just to blend it with the rest of the handle, give it a little visual interest here, and just using a very fine sandpaper to do that. You let me know what you think about this alteration. I think it blends a lot better now. Right? There you go. Like so. I guarantee somebody will comment that these holes should be captive, and it's kind of hard to disagree. Where you're going to get 2 driver bits in the field if you need to remove the handle. Yeah. I'm using this independently certified calibrated block to verify that my Rockwell tester is correctly calibrated. The block is certified to be 62 HRC. It comes from a reputable supplier of test equipment called Phase 2, and it ain't cheap. And we got 62.1 on the dial. Let's see how they treated the CPM 3V steel on this blade. Looking for 59 to 61 on a fixed blade knife. And the first poke yields 59.2 HRC. I'll poke this blade 2 more times and then let you know the average. The second poke coming in at 60.2 HRC. A little bit of a jump, but sometimes that happens. That's why we look for the average. 60.0 HRC on the third poke, and the average is 59.8 HRC. So it tells me that the makers were striking for balance between toughness and edge retention. Let's see how Extremis performs. It is made out of S45 VN steel, which was a steel developed for Chris Reeve knives. And the way it balances out, its toughness falls close to S35 VN, and its edge retention is a little higher, closer to S30V. Let's see what we got here. 59.3 HRC. Not stellar, not terrible. I would prefer 61 or higher. 59.7 on the second poke. The blade has this curved profile, so I wonder if they're compensating for the reduced cross-section by keeping hardness in a moderate range. So I read 59.5 HRC, same as the average. I recommend they have a conversation with their heat treatment vendor so that the entire progression from hardening to tempering to cerakoting is an integrated process. Let me banter a little bit while you're looking at these beautiful knives. As you may have deduced, I am more excited about the looks, ergonomics, and quality of production on these blades than the hardness. On the other hand, the steel nerd like myself was probably not their target audience. In my career, I have not scaled the cliffs of Hindu Kush mountains or crawled through a drug cartel's tunnels. The guys who designed and built these knives have learned through hard-earned experience that no matter what your bicep circumference is, what helps you survive in a difficult terrain under adverse conditions depends on your toughness, resilience, how much you can pack and carry, and how quickly you can restore your strength. So as I'm enjoying brutal looks and excellent ergonomics of these blades, I can't help but ask, what were they shooting for? They know that it is highly unlikely they would have to use a knife in combat. It is much more likely they would have to jam it between two rocks and then step on it, after which field sharpening would be required. And so Halface delivers balance. Yes, I am biased. I really liked everyone who I met at their shop. They asked me not to publish any pictures with the team members except for one, this one. His name is Crow, and I bet he doesn't know that there's a whole line of knives possibly named after him, or vice versa. And I bet this dog could learn how to use a knife, except why? He has a mouthful of them. He has a job. He's a morale officer for the gang, except he's been bored lately because they are all too busy banging out those knives.